No one tells you this about, "I'm just confused," but most of the time, it's not confusion. It's hesitation with a polite face. You've heard it before. Things were going well. Conversations felt natural. There was chemistry, attention, late-night talks, maybe even future plans thrown around casually. And then suddenly, a shift. The energy drops. Replies slow down. The warmth turns neutral. And when you finally ask what's wrong, you get that soft, almost harmless line. "I'm just confused." And you accept it. Because it sounds honest. It sounds human. You tell yourself they just need time. You stay patient. You give space. You try to be understanding. But deep down, something doesn't sit right. Because confusion doesn't feel like distance. Confusion doesn't look like emotional withdrawal. And confusion definitely doesn't make someone treat you like an option after making you feel like a priority. So what's really happening here? Psychologically, "I'm confused" is often a cover for internal conflict. Not confusion about you as a person, but conflict between what they feel and what they're willing to commit to. It's the tension between attraction and uncertainty, between comfort and curiosity, between you and the possibility of something else. When someone is truly into you, their mind doesn't create confusion. It creates clarity. They move toward you, not away. Their behavior becomes consistent, not unpredictable. Because genuine emotional investment reduces doubt, it doesn't increase it. But when attraction is mixed with hesitation, that's where confusion is born. And hesitation comes from a few uncomfortable places. Sometimes it's fear of commitment. They enjoy you, but the idea of choosing you fully feels heavy. So they stay in the middle, close enough to keep you, distant enough to avoid responsibility. Sometimes it's the presence of other options. You're not the only emotional input in their life, and they're comparing, not necessarily consciously, but constantly. You feel it as inconsistency. They call it confusion. And sometimes it's emotional unavailability. They like the feeling you give them, but they're not capable of reciprocating it at the same level. So instead of admitting that, they soften it with uncertainty. Now here's the part people avoid admitting. When you hear, "I'm confused," and choose to stay, you're not being patient. You're negotiating your self-respect. Because instead of observing their actions, you focus on their words. You hold on to potential instead of reality. You start justifying behavior that, if you were honest with yourself, you would never accept in the beginning. You begin overinvesting. You give more attention, more understanding, more emotional availability, hoping it will help them figure things out. But it doesn't. Because confusion doesn't get solved by you giving more. It gets prolonged. This is where the dynamic quietly shifts. You move from being someone they were pursuing to someone who is now trying to prove their worth. And that's a dangerous position. Because the more you chase clarity, the more you lose it. Now let's talk about the gender psychology behind this, without sugarcoating anything. Most men, when they are genuinely interested, are simple in their behavior. They pursue, they show up, they make it clear. Their attraction pushes them toward action. When a man says he's confused, it's often because he's either not that invested or he's emotionally immature and doesn't understand his own feelings yet. Most women, on the other hand, are more emotionally complex in how they process attraction. They can feel something deeply and still pull back if something doesn't feel right long-term. They evaluate emotional safety, consistency, and future potential more heavily. So when a woman says she's confused, it can sometimes mean she feels something, but not enough to fully trust it. But here's the truth no one likes to hear. Whether it's a man or a woman, confusion that leads to distance is still rejection, just delivered slowly. Because people don't step back from what they truly want. They step back from what they're unsure about committing to. And if you're on the receiving end of that, your role is not to fix it. It's to see it. This is the shift most people resist. You stop asking, "How do I make them choose me?" And you start asking, "Why am I staying where I'm not clearly chosen?" That question hurts more, but it also frees you. Because the moment you accept that their confusion is not your responsibility, everything becomes clearer. You stop overanalyzing texts. You stop waiting for them to figure it out. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into their uncertainty. And you start seeing the situation for what it is, not what you hoped it would become. Now, this doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they were lying the whole time. Emotions are complicated. People change. Feelings fluctuate. But clarity is a choice. And if someone wanted to be clear about you, they would be. Silently. Without drama. You need to adjust your mindset. You don't argue with confusion. You don't compete with it. And you definitely don't wait around for it to disappear. You observe behavior. You respect patterns. And you make decisions based on what is consistent, not what is promised. You learn to walk away from emotional situations that keep you guessing. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough to not stay confused alongside them. And here's the part that hits hardest. Sometimes, "I'm confused" is just a softer way of saying, "I'm not choosing you, but I don't want to lose you either." And if you accept that, you'll realize something uncomfortable. You were never stuck. You were just hoping they would become someone they were never showing you they were. And that hope kept you there longer than the reality ever should have. In the end, clarity is not something you beg for. It's something you recognize. And if someone can't give it to you, that is your answer. Because the truth is, the right person doesn't create confusion in your life. They remove it.